Hello, thank you for joining my YouTube channel today. I want to talk to you about something that is really abnormal, but is true. And this is very near and dear on my heart right now because I just welcomed and was the first human being to touch little Evie, who joined our family this last Tuesday at 3:56 after quite a bit of labor that my daughter went through. My daughter has a difficult time letting go of babies during labor. So the first one was like 5.5 days of labor. This one was 3 days. The last 24 hours was quite intense, and I was with her. So when Evie came out, I was reminded of what we do when we come in as human beings and what kind of transitions we have to make, and how hard it is to go from being in the in-between state, in between our lives, and what it's like to have this harsh reality of coming into this realm, and what that is like for all of you, all of us, including me, to come through this journey, to go through the process of the cervix thinning and the hips expanding and all of the things that occur when a baby is born. When she came out, her head was actually blue. And I knew intuitively, do not worry about whether or not she is going to breathe. She just hasn't taken a breath yet. There was this look of solace, of almost like a little Buddha baby that was just completely calm and clear and just like this. She had her eyes closed. She was not engaging. She was not breathing. The head was blue. And the midwife was right beside me and was saying, "It's okay, you can touch her." And I was like, "Okay, get over your fear, Tammy, just touch her." And then I helped to guide her out, and the midwife helped me to learn how to twist the body to get the shoulders out. When Evie was born, I immediately handed her underneath her mother's legs to her mother, my daughter, and it was amazing. So let me talk to you a little bit about what happens to people who come before they come in, and then tell you about my other grandson. I have 3 grandsons and now a granddaughter. And each of the grandchildren, and I haven't done this yet for Evie, but I wrote this entire note, this letter personally to them. I don't know if the parents have saved it, but I did do it. And I wrote about their birth and what it was like and what was going on around them, and how I watched the nurse clean them up with my first grandson, Gray. And then Finn, what that was like with the C-section with his mother, and what the doctors did, and how many people were in the room. So I'm going to do the same thing for Evie that I did for Gray, Finn, and Ryder. Before Ryder came in to my daughter, I want to tell you what happened, and I had never really communicated before that juncture with a baby before it came in. So let me tell you what occurred. About 6 months before my daughter and her husband told me that they had conceived, this little boy appears to me. And suddenly, out of the blue, I'm looking, and I said, "Okay, who are you? What are you doing here?" And he said, "I am a grandson that is considering coming in. I have this agreement with my parents, but I need an agreement with you." And I said, "What are you talking about?" "I don't make agreements with grandbabies or babies. I don't really communicate with them before they come in. But if you think about it, it's logical that if you can speak to the non-physical and people on the other side, and masters and teachers and beings in the non-physical, why couldn't you speak to a being before they come in?" So I said to him, he did not tell me what his name was going to be, but he said, "I need you, and I will not come in. I will not incarnate in this lifetime unless you promise to be an integral part of my raising." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Higher evolved, leader, all of these things." He started telling me these things. I have not even told my daughter this. So, Carrie, if you get this on YouTube, then you'll see what actually happened before Ryder. I have an agreement with my daughter that I don't tell her certain things until it's time for her to know it or she asks. So I'm going to tell you the journey of Ryder coming in, and then how different Evie was, so that you can understand when babies arrive and before they arrive, some of the things that occur in the non-physical realm. So at this juncture, this little boy is saying, I need you, and it's going to be hard. And unless you are with me to help be an integral part of the raising, I will not come in yet. I'm going to wait. And I said, yes, I commit to you that I will give you the first 3 years at least. I will be by your side. I moved twice because of that commitment, because each time my daughter and her husband moved, because he's a chef, I would move with them. And they didn't know that part of it was because of this commitment to Ryder. He is now 3.5. So when Ryder is in gestation, when he is in his mother's womb, they did not want to know whether it was a boy or a girl. And accidentally one day, I said, when he, and then I put my hand over my mouth and was, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, you didn't want to know. And they said, no, we already knew. We already felt it. Thank you for confirming. The timing is right for you to confirm this for us. This is good. So then Ryder started bothering me, which was shocking everyone. It was surprising that a fetus would talk to me. One of the things that I want to tell you is that the spirit of a child does not come in at conception. They will come in at different times. Sometimes it's 1 month into the gestational period. Sometimes it's 3 months. Sometimes it's 4 months, 4.5 months, up to 7 months when the spirit comes in. When I first figured this out, I was going into the prison system to visit Phil, and I told him this new revelation that God had revealed to me in trying to help someone to get through what they had done as an abortion and the guilt, blame, and shame associated with that. And I told her the baby spirit was not even in the baby yet. The baby was forming, the body was forming, the cells were functioning, but the spirit was not in there yet. You did not kill that child. So I was comforting her in this. And when I was telling Phil about it while visiting him in prison, he was like, that makes sense. He said, because my son, Sean, did not come in until 4.5 months. And I'm lying on the bed with my wife. And I said, oh, there are 3 of us. And she said, yes, he just came in. So even Phil and his wife at that point knew this truth. I didn't know it yet. And God had just revealed it to me. So cross forward to, she is close. She is probably about 6.5, 7 months, 7.5. I don't remember exactly what it was. And then Ryder starts bothering me. He starts saying, I want to talk to my mom. He's quite bossy, by the way. He is quite aggressive with me and is adamant that I am going to do what he wants. And I reminded him that I had a contract to be his helper and him being a leader. And I'm communicating with him, first of all, saying, I can't communicate with the fetus. What are you doing? And he said, yes, you can. You communicated with me before I came in, before I agreed. And I said, okay, I'll settle down and I'll just do the communication. What do you want? I want to talk to my mother. And I said, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but you don't know that I have an agreement with your mother that as a medium, as somebody who is extrasensory, I never, ever disregard or disrespect her journey. So I cannot say anything to her without her coming to me and asking for this information, which is something that I mentioned when I first started this video. So I told him to go to her. He kept pestering me and coming to me, which is really Ryder's personality, by the way. Let me tell you, that's really how he functions. So what ended up happening is, after 2 weeks of really, really bothering me, I finally got upset at him and said in anguish, stop it. You do not have permission to talk to me again. If you want to speak to your mother, I say yes. Go to her and have her come to me. And that is exactly what happened 2 weeks later. He stopped trying to harass me and went to her. So I'm over there visiting her. We had gone for a walk, and I'm about to leave her house, and I picked up my bags and my keys to my car, and she said, wait. And I looked at her and I said, what? She said, I want to talk to my son. And I said, wait a minute. How do you know that your son wants to talk to you? And she said, because he's been harassing me. And I said, tell me about it. So she did. And I said, well, let me tell you the backstory of that. He's been harassing me for about a month. And 2 weeks ago, I just told him, that's it. Stop it. You are harassing me. Go to your mother. And I said, when did he start? And she said, exactly 2 weeks ago today, which coincided with the exact date that I had told him to go to her. And guys, he was talking to me about hovercraft and what his generation was bringing in. And he was telling me, because I had just seen on Good Morning America that morning, he said the hovercraft that you saw, that the Lexus people just came out with, is nothing compared to the technology that is really alien technology, that is really far beyond our sphere of understanding. He said this generation that is coming in is bringing in that technology. I thought that was really interesting, that a fetus is wanting to talk to us about technology that he is telling us that he is not even going to participate in. And then he started talking about who he was and how he was going to push his mother to grow and how he was a leader and how he was going to challenge her and some of the things that she would have to do and how he was going to shake up her life. Well, let me tell you that Carrie did very, very well with this son. And so much so that he's calmer, but for a while, as he is having to learn, and I'm sure that I will still have this job with him, and so will she, and so will her husband, Tanner, as we work through teaching little Ryder how to be a leader. At the age of 1, guys, and 1.5, I am in the kitchen with this little kid that is trying to motion for me to stop talking. He is trying to control things. He's trying to be the leader. He's trying to tell us what we're going to do and what we're not going to do at 1, which was exactly what he had foretold before he came in and during the gestation period. So I said to him at 1 year old, look, Ryder, let me tell you something. I know, we all know here that you are a leader. This is not how you lead. And it is my job to teach you how to lead. You do not lead by bossing people around and by telling them what to do or trying to control them. We all get that you're a leader, but it is my job, part of my contract with you, to teach you this is not how you do it. And he would look at me and smile and just go, okay. And then when he was about 1.5 to 2 years old, I'm still saying this to him when I'm catching him really being bossy and trying to control things. And he would say, okay, Gammy, because that's my name. Let me tell you that it is stunning and surprising. And if you as new parents or you as older parents want to know some of these things that your children went through, you can actually get that information. If you will just open the mind to that which is not just limited and look at this world as being non-physical while we're here in the physical, we are predominantly spiritual beings. We are not really paying that much attention to the supernatural, but it is happening all around us. And I'm sharing this today because a client of mine named Pam, who I've just done a session with in Sri Lanka. Hello, Pam. It is because of you that I'm doing this session, because I was telling you some of this information and you said something profound. There is a book in this, Tammy, for you to help educate people. And today, when I awoke, Pam, it came to me, do this session, do this little YouTube for you so that all of you can know there is so much more going on in your life with the born and the unborn, the people who have lived here, the people who have left, the people who want to give you messages, the people who want to make things right with you that have already crossed over, the people that know that they need certain things. You need to play certain roles. We have contracts with each other. I am very aware of that. And my 2 latest grandchildren are just 2 of the stories. Evie is my newest and the only girl out of the 4. She is exactly in person what I was reading about her. I was a bit puzzled that she was not bossy like Ryder and that she wasn't demanding to talk to her parents. I thought maybe that it was my daughter and my son-in-law that needed this information, but it was actually the child themselves. So because Edie didn't need it, I was like, would you let me get to know you a little bit before you come if you're not asking to talk to your parents? And what I got was this: I am coming in to calm everything down. My energy is very soothing and calm and peaceful, and I will not cause much of the ruckus that my brother is. I am here to soothe humanity. I didn't share that very much with Carrie and Tanner. I shared a little bit and said, she's amazing. She's a sweetie. She's sweet. She's got such sweet energy. She's calm. She's relaxed. And guess what? Evie's presence has calmed Ryder. And this is something that my boyfriend and I just noticed yesterday. Ryder is calmer. He's not as frenetic. So Evie, as this newborn, 3 days old yesterday, is already accomplishing part of her purpose for her own brother, her own parents, her own family. Know that you didn't just come here haphazardly. You agreed to come into this world. You agreed to have certain characteristics that you would, and contracts that you would fulfill, just like Ryder, just like Evie. I am just using these stories, these real stories of my grands to help you to know how it works with you. So think on these things and know that you are much more than these physical bodies, and that the spiritual side of you is communicating with the non-physical, with God, with the Lord, with spirit, with your guides, with your higher self, and with others at all times. Namaste.